Hey guys, welcome to Cooking.Inc. I am Steve Hush, your host and chef. Today we will be making taro root. Not making, we're going to be cooking taro root. Uh, let's talk a little bit about taro root. In Hindi, it's called Arbi, and in my native tongue, it's called chawandampu. The way it's being cooked right now is the most delicious. It is my favorite food item, a favorite vegetable in general. I used to hate eating vegetable like every other kid, but this vegetable is the one vegetable you will not want to skip when you're a child. Anyway, let's talk a little bit of its nutritional values, shall we? Um, it has high quantities of oxalic acid, which forms raphides. So if you're planning to eat this raw, you need to cut it into cube shapes after peeling the skin and leave it overnight in cold water. That reduces the oxalic acid levels and makes it edible to eat raw. Since we're not eating it raw, we're going to be cooking them in oil. You don't need to do any of that. All you need to do is put it in the pressure cooker with the water levels being just touching the root, like just touching the root. It should, in the pressure cooker, it should have you should remove them after 2 to 3 whistles with medium-high flame. Also, another thing about taro root, apparently it's one of the first vegetables to be cultivated from a family who originates from farmers. That makes a lot of sense for me. So let's get to cooking. Here are the ingredients. Of course, taro root, or if you want, I'll call it Arbi or chawandampu. This is chili powder, cumin, salt, turmeric, and coriander for aesthetic. For this, as I said before, you need to put it in a pressure cooker for 2 to 3 whistles. After which you peel the skin off and cut it into shapes like this. It's very soft, so like this. So we cut it this big because it was a very big. We took the huge version of it. For smaller versions, you can cut them into smaller, which make it more crispier when deep fried, which is the kind which I enjoy more. But since we're taking the big ones, we add a little extra oil than usual. Now to the oil. So in this utensil, you need to put the oil about 100 milliliters to 250 milliliters, and you need to heat it in medium-high flame for about 5 to 10 minutes. After which I will be adding the root vegetable into the pan. If the heat is insufficient, you will not be getting the crackling sound, which I will demonstrate. And if you do get it, you're perfectly fine. If you see steam coming from the oil, you need to reduce the heat to a medium to simmering flame. Once the steam stops, you need to put the vegetable in. Be very careful with this. You may burn your arms with the oil, especially because the crackling is necessary for it to be deep fried. I have experience. I've burned my arms a couple of times. I will be back to you when the oil is ready. I must carefully add the taro root to the utensil, the oil. As I had previously mentioned, when you hear these sparkling noises and you see the taro root like this in the oil, that means you have successfully heated the oil to the correct temperature. If it's a little less, it doesn't matter, it's all okay. As long as it's making these noises, it is perfect. So now for close to 15-20 minutes, you carefully stir it, because even though it's in the oil, it is still as soft as it was before. So 1 second, it's a little out of frame. Yeah, right there. So all you need to do is be very careful with the vegetable. Reduce the flame to a lot, because when it sparkles so much, you need to see what's happening to the vegetable, and I believe you leave it like this, well, with constantly stirring every 2 to 3 minutes. Yeah, so after some time of the bubbling stopping, I guess you can see a little bit of the pieces of the vegetable. Look at this one, almost close, perfectly cooked. This piece is a very rich source of potassium, iron, vitamin C, vitamin A, and stuff like that. And also taro fries, which is the dish which I'm making right now, is a very common idea among those who are wishing to replace potato from their diets. Like even French fries, if you replace it with this and you make French fries from taro root, it's a much healthier option. I believe it will be cooked in a very similar manner. So basically, this is potato veggies but with taro root. So now we're about a quarter way done till it's properly roasted. I believe I'll wait for another minute or two, and then you will see the next clip with the perfectly done ones. I'll be honest, right now it even smells like potatoes, but I did my research and it is a much healthier option. So alright guys, looks like they are done and ready, properly fried. Let me just remove one to check for you guys. Look at this. When it looks like this is when you should know that it's properly done. Now I will be draining the oil. Be very careful when doing this. I will be putting my phone down. 1 second. Yeah, good. So I'll be putting the oil in this container. Just give me a minute. Be very careful, people. You might want to reduce the heat so that you're not as much exposed to the oil. So let me just use something for safety for my hand. And remove all of the oil. Make sure you remove all of the oil, yes. Even with a little oil, all of the spices, they will start forming bulks and stuff. We don't want that. All of the spices should be evenly spread, otherwise it will be an issue. For a better view. Now as you see, it seems to be that the utensil is a little too hot, so you reduce the flame by a lot till by the time for it to cool, just so that you don't burn it. For the points which are contacting the utensil, you might want to move them around so that they don't burn. Or this popping sound is when happens when sometimes some of the root is not properly cooked, like this white one right there. So for that, you just put it at the bottom of the container and let it heat off right there. Some of them might be mushed if you don't do it carefully enough, like this one right there in the middle. It's alright if it's mushed. It's also made in curries where they're mushed and stuff like that, just as they do in masala dosas and stuff. So yeah, we wait for another 2 to 3 minutes with simmering heat. Then we add the spices. It looks like the root vegetable is ready for adding spices. Make sure the heat is at medium-low to simmer, because we don't want to burn the spices, don't we? Do we? So first we add a pinch full of turmeric, spread it around. Then a pinch of salt, maybe a little more salt depending on the amount you've made. Then you stir it a little so that it's evenly spread out. It's alright if it becomes mushy like this, it's all fine. Then you add the chili powder, still just a pinch. Spread it around. If you wish, you can add a little cumin. I prefer just a little bit, so yeah. Then you just stir it around a little. You add a lot more of the spices, and you turn it all around properly if it's mushed up like this. If you do it right, it should come in. If you do it with smaller pieces, especially in smaller amounts, they should come with small and very crunchy. That's essentially the way we usually make it. We have the final result. This is the taro root. So for me, I usually enjoy it with a little bit of brown rice. You can have it with literally any bread. It'll taste just the same and just as tasty. After having a small piece of it, according to you, you can add a little more spice, a little more salt. I'm gonna have it with brown rice. This is my dinner, guys. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next one.